The Atma-Karaka. So guys, I'm starting a brand new series today, and a lot of you guys have requested this a lot over the years. In fact, even in my answers on Quora, that why don't you write a little bit more about Jaimini. So Jaimini deals with Karakas, the Atma-Karaka, the Karakas, and Gemini has a different way of looking at planets and yogas, and it's a very interesting branch of Vedic astrology. But here's the thing. So I prefer and I believe in the accuracy of the system that I use, which is tropical rashis, sidereal nakshatras, and Placidus houses. But I started with, and I'm fully adept. I can use it like an expert. The classical system as well, the equal houses, NC Lahiri, Ainamsha. So it changes, when you move from one system to the other. And so I had my reservations about, okay, what is the perspective that I should take, right? Because both systems are based on people's interpretations of the Surya Siddhanta, which is the primary document which talks about the astronomy of Vedic astrology. Okay. Now, it was a document which a lot of people are of the opinion, scholars, Sanskrit scholars, that this was a document that was meant to be updated with time. And so, as a result of that, instability or whatever, those updations haven't been made. There's another thing, that the different Ayanamshas that existed in India were regularized after independence because, the government couldn't afford to have religious holidays on two different dates. Anyways, I am confident now to go ahead because I have seen in my analysis over hundreds literally, if not a thousand or thousands, I would say, hundreds of charts applying both systems, and these two configurations somehow lead you to the arrival of the same conclusion, even if you take degrees differently, and it's uncanny. So there's an answer that I had written, an article that I had written to this regard, which is included in the description. You can check that out. But I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the Atma-Karaka and follow that up with each of the Karakas, up till the 8 Karakas. This is also one of the things with respect to Gemini astrology that, some follow the 7 Karaka system, some follow the 8 Karaka system. So what to use? So I'm just going to take a traditional perspective here. We'll just go with Lahiriya and Amsha and move ahead by talking about the 8 Karaka system. And we're starting with the Atma-Karaka. So I just hope you enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. Karaka actually means sort of indicator. That is the loose translation. Karaka. Atma-Karaka is the indicator of the soul's desire in this lifetime. What your soul is here to experience. What is the primary motivation that has led to its manifestation again in the material plane? So whichever planet has the highest degrees in your chart, that is your Atma-Karaka. That is going to be the bulk of the experience that you're going to go through, that is going to shape the ascended soul that you need to become fully liberated. Okay? Now, it's by no means the only important planet in your chart. No, there are a lot of other things that need to be taken into account. But this is going to be the primary filter, like you can say the ascendant, a lens through which you experience the lessons of life. Okay? So depending on which Karaka, which planet is the Atma-Karaka, you're going to have that kind of experiences in your life. So let's begin. The first planet obviously is going to be the Sun. When the Sun is your Atma-Karaka, it means that your soul in this lifetime is primarily here to experience matters of sacrifice, duty, responsibility, power, authority, okay, even your pride, your honor. Sun is a malefic planet. In fact, it's not as malefic as Ketu, Rahu or Saturn, but it's still a malefic planet because the sun burns where it sits. Okay, and sun has quite a few of the associations of matters of sacrifice associated with it. Okay, you can look at the first nakshatra that sun rules, Kritika nakshatra. It's a very difficult nakshatra to deal with. It deals with the sun god, but it's very hard. It can be very harsh as an energy. So when sun is your Atma-Karaka, you have to look at your journey from the lens of, am I living up to my duty in this life? Am I living up to my sense of what is right in this life? You also have to understand that it is not unless you acquire the necessary standing, respect, status and recognition in society that you will be able to create the changes you seek. You will be able to right a lot of the wrongs that you see. Sun as your Atma-Karaka will tell you that you are here to be seen. You are here to be known. And this can be a difficult journey. Let's say if you have Ketu-Sun conjunction and you have Sun as your Atma-Karaka. So your life until the age of 48 can be, my God, full of so many trials. So many quests and tests. And this can be different if, let's say, your sun is exalted. But either ways, when sun is your Atma-Karaka, sooner or later, what you have to understand to be able to ascend through this birth here on this material plane this time around, what you need to understand, to fill out your journey and attain moksha, is that there is a price to be paid. Even when you are famous, even when you are powerful, even when you are, highly regarded, highly respected, there is a price that is to be paid here. Why? Because when you're out in the public eye, when everybody knows you, or when even in your own small group, even let's say within your own community, even within your own family, if there is a certain space that you occupy, then that also restricts you. That means sacrifices. If you're the kind of person, who always keeps his word, well, sooner or later, you're going to have to keep it in a very difficult way. This was, a very similar story that happened in Lord Rama's case. And so Lord Ram is associated with the sun. He's an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who is embodying the energy of the sun, born in Raghukul, the Kul of Raghu, the lineage of Raghu. They were said to be descended from the sun god. And so it was difficult because his dad made a promise to, one of his wives that she can redeem one, promise from him anytime she wanted. And he would have to give it to her without asking any questions. She had helped him out in a very difficult war, right? And so that happened. And she said, ultimately, being misguided by her own, I would say, chambermaid, or, what's the correct term for it? And that if you want your son to ascend to the throne, you gotta get Dashrath to send Lord Ram to the forest. And so he was forced to send the son that he loved the most, who was the most deserving, to the forest to keep his promise. That killed him. He loved his son so much, but he had to do it. Because if he didn't, it would smear the reputation of their entire clan, of their entire lineage. Lord Ram also had to go to the forest, because if he didn't, then that would smear the reputation of the entire clan, entire lineage. That is what the sun represents before it represents anything else. Yes, it represents a lot of things. This is the crux of what you need to understand if you have sun as the Atma-Karaka. Okay? I'll talk more about sun in many different ways to come. So thank you for watching. Let's do the next one. Moon Atma-Karaka. So Moon is a very soft planet. Moon deals with your feminine side. Moon deals with your intuition. Moon deals with nourishment, both seeking nourishment and providing nourishment. Okay? That is why Moon in Scorpio individuals can quite often be obsessive lovers. I mean, they can sometimes love you to death. That's the kind of individuals that they can be. That is how much they can get attached. And they can also become quite needy. Why? Because moon in Scorpio, it doesn't know how to balance out its nourishment. Sometimes it wants all the nourishment in the world. Sometimes it is going overboard to give you all of the nourishment in the world. Okay? So that's an understanding of how the aspect of moon works. Moon is also your mother. Moon is also secrets. Moon is also, you could say, it's a very soft planet. It can represent art. It can represent beauty. It can also represent, music in some cases, right? But primarily, when you have moon as your Atma-Karaka, it means that your soul in this lifetime, is here to undergo experiences that tells it, that demonstrates to it the importance of providing nourishment, the importance of caring, the importance of having care in your life, having nourishment, having that familiarity, having safety. The moon is a very insecure planet. Sun is very secure. Sun is secure to the point that it's ready to sacrifice itself, right? The moon is a planet which can be very insecure because it's very soft. It does not have its own light. It is a luminary, but it does not have its own light. So when you have moon with the highest degrees in your chart, that makes moon your Atma-Karaka. Now, the way to look at it is that your soul has reached the maximum stage of the evolution of, let's say, lunar energy in its entire journey through many lifetimes. It's at the final leg. And at the final leg, it is actually confronted with difficult lessons and challenges and questions that it must reconcile itself with to be able to be liberated. And so when moon is your Atma-Karaka, then everything in life that deals with security, that deals with safety, that deals with following your intuition, that deals with nourishment, everything in life is going to be what you're going to realize the importance of: giving, receiving, sharing. Your moon nakshatra is going to play a huge role here. So for example, your moon is in Anuradha. Devotion is what you will understand as your, paradigm of reconciling the irreconcilable ends of, all that is required as part of nourishment, love, attachment, etc., etc., intuition. Okay? And let's say your moon is in Kritika nakshatra. All manners of nourishment, safety are going to come about with you always aligning yourself with your duty. This is my duty. This is what I have to do. This is what will give me peace of mind. This is what I intuitively feel drawn towards. And this is the way that, I will act, always prioritizing my duty. That sort of a thing. So when you have moon Atma-Karaka, usually, people like that can be healers of some kind. They can be involved in the food or drink, beverage, hospitality industry. They can be definitely quite often involved in caregiving professions. That can be a psychiatrist, that can be a physiotherapist, that can even be a doctor or a nurse. That can even be a counselor. That kind of energy is always prevalent with the moon. With the moon, you are meant to hone your feminine side of receiving. That's what you are here to learn. That I have to learn to let go and allow things to come to me as well. Okay? That's one of the biggest lessons that moon as Atma-Karaka wants you to master. Because remember, it's a luminary. The two luminaries, sun and the moon. The moon is a luminary, but it doesn't have light of its own. Moon has to deal with the changing ebbs and flows of life. That is the beauty. The crescent moon looks beautiful in a certain way. The red full moon looks beautiful in a certain way. Half moon looks beautiful in a certain way. So, as I said, moon is an insecure planet. This is what, when moon is your Atma-Karaka, you have to learn to do. It's to, flow with life. Okay? So I hope you enjoy this. Let's get to the next one. Mercury Atma-Karaka. So when you have Mercury as your Atma-Karaka, then it means that what your soul is primarily here to experience, what it's here to experience liberation through, is questioning things, is exploring things. When Mercury is your Atma-Karaka, it means that your soul is trying to wrap up some kind of a learning in this lifetime. It could be maybe a business that you're trying to build. It could be maybe a language that you are trying to master. It could be maybe a book, or some kind of a project where there is something that you are here to receive communication for, and also to communicate to the world. There's something that you're here to learn, something that you're here to understand, something that you're here to master. And so Mercury Atma-Karaka people can naturally be very inquisitive. They can be like in 30 different things. They want to know about stocks, they want to know about tech, they want to know about shipping, they want to know about sales, they want to know about language, they want to know about everything, and they also want to, let's say, have fun playing tennis with their friends, because Mercury also represents friends. They're chilling out with their cousins and their siblings all the time, right? They're just hooked to series, podcasts and things like that. Mercury can really, Mercury Atma-Karaka can really give you like an emotional, like a knowledge, sorry, not emotions, like a information overload. Okay, you're just taking in so much, like you want to learn, know everything, like that. Okay, and here, what obviously is going to play a huge role is, let's say, if this Mercury is conjunct Rahu, then this can be a tough experience. Because, now essentially Rahu is part of the mix of what you're here to experience. So Rahu will put this, in North Indian cuisines, we call this thing tadka, So it's heated red chili with some pepper, with some cumin and some, salt. And that is what you will sort of heat up and put on a dish when we want to make a mild dish spicy. So if Rahu is conjunct any planet, it will add that tadka, to that planet's flavor. You have to understand. So with Rahu Mercury, quite possibly it can even be the case if you have Mercury Atma-Karaka that you weren't able to talk for, let's say, 4 years of your life. I mean, that's your story. That for 4 years, your parents thought there was something wrong with you. They took you to all sorts of places. You had dyslexia, etc., etc. And suddenly, at 4, you changed. You started talking. You started interacting. You started, something happened. That can be the case as well. It can be that somebody was stammering most of their life, and they learned how to, get out of that habit. Where Ketu Mercury, in the same way, can make an individual who can have. Now, Ketu Mercury, I have seen something quite often can cause difficult circumstances with respect to being able to access skills, because Ketu denies. So let's say you have Mercury as your Atma-Karaka and you have a Ketu Mercury conjunction, then that will show that for sure, because it's Ketu, it's past life, right? For sure, there is a past life connection with respect to completing some kind of project, some kind of maybe, book, information, whatever, maybe there's a business model that you're trying to build, something of that sort where there is some interaction with the world that is pending, some trade with the world that is pending. Okay, so this is how on the basis of different placements and conjunctions Mercury is going to behave if Mercury is your Atma-Karaka. And one thing that I will say for sure, if Mercury is your Atma-Karaka, what you need to do is you need to, from time to time, switch off your brain. So go to Vipassana or something. Meditate. Turn off your brain. You just come to the present moment. Because Mercury Atma-Karaka people can be so lost inside their heads that they need something physical, and they need to detach from time to time to just focus on what is important, not be lost in all the variety of voices and stimuli. Okay, so I'm going to keep going into this with more details in some live sessions and subsequent videos. Let's get into the next one. Venus as Atma-Karaka. So when you have Venus as your Atma-Karaka, it means that Venus has the maximum degrees of all the planets in your chart. And Venus as Atma-Karaka will show that this lifetime is where you are primarily here to experience evolution through the importance of relationships, through the importance of devotion. Because Venus is love, Venus is connection, Venus is all the good things in life. But the highest expression of Venus is devotion. When Venus is your Atma-Karaka, what needs to be developed in this lifetime is the ability to devote yourself to an idea, to people, to your partner, to spread love. When Venus is your Atma-Karaka, you're here to spread love. Okay? And you will see it quite often in the case of a lot of spiritual gurus, that they will have Venus prominent in their chart. So I remember Swami Vishnu Devananda, he has Ketu Venus in his chart. He had Ketu Venus in his chart. Right? I think Venus was also quite prominent for Paramahansa Yogananda. Okay? Venus was also quite prominent, by the way, for Sri Krishna. That's why, that gave him that extra, effect, those extra kalas that he had compared to Lord Ram, those extra skills, as a simplification. One of them was the power of seduction, which only Venus can bring about. So when you have Venus as your Atma-Karaka, you have quite a bit of these powers of being able to seduce, not necessarily in the bad way, but it's like you know how to get attention. That's something you know. You know what to wear, how to wear it, how to look after yourself. Now, quite often, obviously, as I said, conjunctions of the nodes with any of the planets can definitely change the nature, right? And so, depending on what influences are there, this is going to change quite a bit. But if Venus is your Atma-Karaka, primarily you are here to love yourself and spread that love. Okay, you could do this through something materialistic, like maybe, you could be a social media icon, you could be a model, you could be a film star, you could be, let's say somebody who works in PR. That could be the case. Or even if you're none of that, you could just be somebody in finance, somebody who deals with beautiful things in some way, shape or form. You could even be a nurse, because Venus represents also, service of any kind. Venus is what deals with the sign of Libra, the marketplace. So Venus is this trade, right? So Venus Atma-Karaka can also, Venus corresponds to the color white. It can also deal with individuals who are like, let's say, salesmen, salespersons. Good places, right? Whenever there is a nature of finis added to anything, that's the layer of Venus. It's like, how you have in tax calculation, the moment there is a specific ingredient, then it falls into a different tax slab. That's the thing with planets also. So normal sales is Mercury, but Venus, when you bring into it, let's say you are, a top salesman at some place like Lamborghini, that's Venus. Okay? If you are the relationship manager at let's say Ferrari, that's Venus. Okay? So Venus, all in all, is good as an Atma-Karaka from the perspective of experiencing life. But at the end of it all, what it's all going to boil down to is that with Venus, you have immense capability to attract all of the abundance in the world, all of the partners, all of the people that you want, towards you, one way or another. It can be good through business, through your work, etc., or just, a very beautiful looking, in fact, human being as well. You have all of those powers, but your real test is going to be to stay devoted. That will be the only pitfall that you can have. That you became too greedy, went on the, shadow side of Venus, and that landed you into trouble. Okay? So I'm going to keep going deeper and deeper into these planets now. They're going to be live sessions as well, where I cover a lot of these energies. And for this first part, it's only going to be these 4 planets. Then I'm going to cover the other 4 planets in the next part. Coming soon. And I just wanted to say that if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel so that you can stay abreast all the wonderful content that I post here, and push the bell icon so that you can be notified every single time I post. And if you are interested in learning Vedic astrology from me, learning how I practice Vedic astrology with a few other modern day skills like NLP and CBT, and combine them to help people, astro-life coaching, do check out my astro-life coaching practitioner program. And the link is given here. There's going to be a small call where we get to know each other and understand, and from there, we're going to be moving ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Adios.